Red alert, red alert, red alert, calling all ambitious auto sales and marketing professionals. Honestly, you'll kick yourself if you miss reading this week's auto newsletter. Really? Jokes aside, this is one big chance for you today to be informed of an auspicious Father's Day whereby dads proudly display their classic jalopy. Yes, that's right. Frankly, there is no better time than now to increase your treasures of vehicles knowledge, especially antique automobile. You will be a more superior sales professional. Agree or not? For starters, do allow me to whet your appetite for classic auto transport. Alright, thanks. Believe it or not, at the Gurdwara Sahib, there were more than 30 vintage modes of transport displayed, such as a 1960 air-cooled Citroën, together with a 1958 Royal Enfield 500 motorcycle. Also, the all-time famous Norton 500 motorbike. Yet another classic transport is the refurbished 1968 Volkswagen van. The van, being a masterpiece, which have been kept under wraps at home for the past 2 years, still fetches Rm 90,000s. Enough of my long intro. Let's get into the meat of this week's auto newsletter. Shall we? Thanks. Here goes. Breaking news. Dads gather to show off their vintage vehicles. Petaling Jaya. More than 50 families gathered here to enjoy an old-fashioned Father's Day celebration in their vintage vehicles. Fathers turned up at the Gurdwara Sahib with their vintage vehicles and their own families in town. Over 30 vintage cars, motorcycles, bicycles and four-wheel drives were on display during the afternoon event. Among those attending was Dadak Amir Singh Baparai, 65, from Petaling Jaya, who was delighted at being able to show off his 1960 air-cooled Citroën. It feels good to be able to gather like this again 2 years after the pandemic. This Gurdwara has a lot of sweet memories for me, as I used to come here with my parents as a child. Now, I am here with my sons and grandson who will be taking over my passion for vintage cars, he said yesterday. Also enjoying the celebration was Kuala Lumpur businessman Darshan Singh, 57, who arrived on his 1958 Royal Enfield 500 motorcycle, accompanied by his 19-year-old son Tarandef on a Norton 500. The Royal Enfield belonged to my father and I have maintained and kept it as part of my family's legacy. My son is also keen on vintage motorcycles and I decided to get him the Norton 5 years ago, he said. Businessman Keshbinder Singh, 47, came with his family to show off their restored 1968 Volkswagen van. We decided to get the Volkswagen as a camping vehicle for my boys, but we were unable to go on any road trips due to the pandemic. We are now planning a trip to Kuala Kubu Baru next month, and it will be our first family road trip in a vintage vehicles at a Father's Day with the van, he said. Without disclosing the cost of the van and restoration work, Keshbinder, who is from Kuala Lumpur, said his van was now worth about Rm 90,000s. Jay Lakbar Singh, 56, said he decided to organize the event as it had been 2 years since such a gathering was held. I decided to hold it on Father's Day so that fathers could gather with their families to show off their masterpieces, which have been kept under wraps at home for the past 2 years, he added. He said he was surprised that the invitation to the event went viral on social media. Although it's being held at the Gurdwara, the event is open to the public and not merely to the Sikh community, he said. All in all, the write-up on Father's Day exhibition showcasing owners' vintage vehicles is highly regarded as family gathering and as personal achievements. Period. To recap in a nutshell, be reminded that there are more than 24 antique models of transportation displayed. These include a 1960 air-cooled Citroën, plus a 1958 Royal Enfield 500 motorcycle. As revealed, there is the all-time favorite Norton 500 motorbike. Yet some other elegance automobiles demonstrated is the updated 1968 Volkswagen van. Mind you, this van has been carefully stored for 2 years or more, and still can demand a selling price of Rm 90,000s. By the way, being informed on this demo, we should ask ourselves, how does this display benefit us and ambitious auto-selling individuals? In my humble opinion, we as caring auto sales professionals should contribute whatever we can in terms of money, efforts and time to enhance such shows for now and many years to come. Then, let's make our selling automobiles work as an interesting career. Agree or not? As a fitting remark to wrap up this newsletter, below is a famous quote by Stephen McGee. He was born in the United Kingdom, UK, and started his career at one of the largest university research and teaching hospitals in Europe. He says, "My top priority when I buy a car is I must be able to live in it." End of Auto News. Source: extracted and modified from Open Printed Media. PS. Come to think of it, we know if it is a lengthy newsletter, yet we want to congratulate you for watching and reading this newsletter completely. Additionally, we are eager to know which part of this auto sales and marketing bulletin you learned most. Your feedbacks are critical so that we can help each other grow effectively. Lest you forget, these writings will continue on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and of course in our author, trainer, and consultant's email, josephsfn@gmail.com, upon request. Alright, thank you. We hope to meet you in the next week's bulletin. Goodbye and happy reading. Yours truly, Madam Sophia, Virtual Presenter for CTM. Joseph SFNG, June 23, 2022.